We started asking restaurants, how do you want to be spoken to? Like, you know that you need technology, you need services, you need help. How do you want to be spoken to? And that's when we started to build out this empathetic go-to-market approach. Now, I ended up getting further into my career, and sadly, I could no longer work at a restaurant as much as I absolutely loved it, and have read things like Kitchen Confidential front to back more times than I can count, just remembering the stories, the smell of a walk-in fridge, and just being screamed at by a chef and remembering that with a smile. I ended up getting further into financial technology and payments. And it was at a company that I was working at where I actually met Ty, the CEO and co-founder of Tab. And this was really early on in the Tab days. He must have been 4 to 5 months into building Tab. And I remember meeting him for the first time and just being absolutely blown away, one, by just the sheer intelligence that he has, as well as just the way that he was considering the problems that restaurants had. Now, I know now that his family comes from the restaurant industry, so he obviously had saw what I had saw. But every time that I had talked about restaurants with other people, they just didn't understand it, right? They always saw it as low-skill labor, or, it's just a bad business. But here's this person who I'm talking to about FinTech, and we get on this tangent about restaurants, understanding more about Tab and what Tab does. And I'm like, he sees what I see. He sees the opportunity. It's one of the largest employers in North America, and nobody's supporting it. He saw it. And that, to me, left a big impression. 6 months goes by. We do a deal. At the time, we ended up, doing their payment processing. But that initial conversation and the conversations that followed just really stuck with me. I remember not really loving what I was doing in the FinTech world. And I remember just wanting to be back behind a bar. Now, I don't really remember wanting to be going home at 5 a.m. like I used to. But, all the other glamorous stories were things I did really enjoy and things that I really wish were back in my life. So eventually I just got fed up with what I was doing, and I called Ty and I said, hey man, let's go get lunch. And we went to Cafe Landwehr and sat down in financial district of downtown Toronto. And I said, all right, man, tell me everything. Give me everything. Paint me stupid. Tell me where you are now. How do you want to take over? And he starts laying out this story about how he was working in investment banking, how he always knew he wanted to get back into restaurants, how he also thought he wanted to be in finance, but always kind of dream of those moments for him working at his family's restaurants, scrubbing dishes. To me, I'm like, this sounds really similar to my story. And then he starts getting deeper into the fact that he knows that restaurants need support financially. He knows from his parents' experience what it meant to build a business and grow that business, and what support from technology was supposed to be and what they were told it would be, in the fact that it almost never was. And he said, well, if we can build a product, a platform, a company that actually delivers, that actually helps, that actually grows the business, supports the business, and gives the tools that people are really asking for. This is the second largest employer in the United States, and nothing is doing anything to support it the way that he wanted to. And to me, that was a story that made me say, all right, whatever I'm doing, I'm done with. I remember sitting down and saying to him, I'm going to come work for you. We're going to build this business. And by the time we're done, we're going to make sure that everything we just talked about is actually achieved. He said, all right, great. I'm down. Let's do this. I think we hugged each other in the middle of the restaurant as if we actually did something. He said, one thing, I have no money. So let me go raise around, and that's going to give us the money to actually do this. So can you wait about 6 weeks? I was like, yeah. Sure. I had no idea what it meant to go raise money. He made it seem like it was simple. And so I just kind of ignorantly trusted him. I ended up going surfing and traveling the coast of Nicaragua and going up and down and backpacking and texting Ty over WhatsApp, saying, all right, where are we at? Do I have a job when I get home? And I get home, and miraculously he pulled it together, and I started a week later. In fact, the first day that I worked at Tab was at the Canadian Restaurant Association show. And I remember just standing in this booth, and all of a sudden I'm talking to operators again. I remember I'm talking to people who at one point were the GMs, the bar managers, the bar backs who have now become managers, the people around me that I remember so deeply resonating with that it just felt natural again. The funny thing though was they didn't feel that way about me. They thought I was just some tech guy who knew nothing about them. And all of a sudden I realized how difficult it was going to be to actually build this business and how difficult it was going to be, but how fulfilling at the same time being back in the industry that I love so much and that I will never forget being a part of. So we continue to build this business, and we're going through this process. And what became very, very clear to us was the technology, the finance businesses, the resources that were being sold to restaurants was being sold in a way where it was very clear that they had never been on the line, behind the bar, in the weeds. Right? Any saying you want, they don't know what that means. They don't know what the smell of a walk-in fridge looks like, or just how good cold food in a prep kitchen at 1 a.m. actually is, or the fact that you're probably going to eat off of somebody's plate, but if it was a sharing plate across the table, it doesn't really matter. Just pretend like you were part of that party anyways. And so we started asking restaurants, how do you want to be spoken to? Right? Like, how do you want to be sold? Like, you know that you need technology, you need services, you need help. How do you want to be spoken to? And that's when we started to build out this empathetic go-to-market approach. It was all about listening to restaurants and saying, what is it that you need to know? Do you need to meet at 7 a.m. because it's before you drop your kids off and before you have to go pick up the liquor order at the store? Like, where does it make sense for us to have this conversation? Right? Does it matter if I drive down in person and sit down with you and we, go through a conversation in person? And then from there, it was like, now we have some customers, let's listen to them. They're going to tell us what they need. Let's just build the products that restaurants tell us they need. Because if they need it, someone else likely needs it as well. And so we started building an empathetic product team, where the first question is always, who asked for this? Why did they ask for this? How does this help them? Are they looking to grow and this is going to allow them to grow? Right? Or is this just something that we thought was cool that maybe nobody actually needs? And for us, that was the cleanest way to build product roadmap. Does this help our customers, our clients, our restaurants actually use our services to get them closer to where they want to be? And the more that we listened, the faster we grew. The more that we built what people actually asked for, the more they actually used it. And it was really funny because the very first version of Tab started as a marketplace for local Ontario breweries, Ontario, Canada. And it has now developed into the only corporate credit card designed specifically for restaurants, providing higher limits, longer payment terms, and proactive controls to actually control spending, decrease capital costs, and give tools that actually matter to operators. And the only way that we got from marketplace to cards was because we listened every single step of the way. What can I provide you that will help? And why, if I provide it to you, will it help you? Why are you buying this product? What about this is going to get you closer to where you want to be? How do we partner to take us from current state to future state and be that partner that you can rely on to get you to where you want to be? Because if I can do that for you, you're more likely to tell someone else that you know. And that is exactly what happened. We started listening to customers more than any other companies around us. We started building products faster than any other customers or companies around us. And frankly, we started scaling into verticals that everybody told us was insane, but were instantly understood because we listened, because we understood that the guest experience of a restaurant is what is going to be the experience that we need to provide back to restaurants. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my story. On this channel, you'll learn more about Tab Commerce and how we help restaurants take control of cash flow, unlock higher spending power, and manage expenses with smarter tools built specifically for restaurants. To find out more, check out tabcommerce.com and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.